Hi everybody. Great to be here and thank you for TIA to give me this opportunity. Hard act to follow jaunty roads on the stage. Try my best. I'm not going to talk about Philips being much older and wiser to me. We are one of the ventures in Philips. There are only 2 of them worldwide. And we are a Make in India, Made for India program because we thought we'll crack India first. And if that works, it should work anywhere else. Right? That was the statistics is kind of an interesting story, but I've always felt that what it doesn't tell you is far more important, right? And a lot of people have spoken about it. Isaac spoke about it as well. The key thing is some of these numbers are pretty staggering, right? Imagine a person, I'm talking about 1.4 billion people in India, doing 3 consults a year. And that doesn't mean all of us do it. It just means that there are so many consults happening. So this is what the system is already facing today, right? If you talk to any one of the medical reps in India, I know there's an area in Bangalore that does 100,000 aspirins a month. It's an incredible number, huh? But that's the reality of India. So when we talk about sustainability, you have to understand what numbers you're facing and whether you can really solve a problem of this magnitude. If I as a manufacturing company decide to be sustainable, what kind of a blip am I making in all of this? The story is in 2 parts. One is what we are doing and 2, what is the capacity that's missing. And you can see when you have 3.8 million cardiac deaths in India, it's not surprising that you're lacking cardiology consults, right? And if you have 60 to 70 million diabetics, then it's not surprising that you have very few endocrinologists around. So the bottom line here is you need to understand that you're facing an avalanche. And in order to scale up and meet this, each of us will have to take our own role in all of this, right? So what does sustainability mean for health? It means that you have a certain capacity. And there's a capacity under which you have to operate. If you exceed that capacity, you're on a downstroke. And if you keep continuing along that path, you'll weigh more and more heavy on the healthcare footprint. And when you do that, you're taking away somebody else's chance to be treated. Right? You're depriving somebody else who needs healthcare, who cannot afford it, to be treated. And so a fundamental responsibility of ours is to make sure that we take care of ourselves well, right? So if you look at most of us, and I'm sure Jaunty falls into the top 5% there, but the fact is the footprint is very high in the bottom. So we have 100 million cardiac patients today, or at least according to the prevalence rate, and most of them would fall into the bottom. Some of the people who have had surgeries would fit into 30% in the middle. And then as you go to the right side, you see things toning down a bit. So all of us would really have to move from the left to the right, right? That's the end goal of this. But what we don't understand it is all of us have a certain set of health credits that we operate with. How many times do we take a consult? How many times do we get a surgical procedure done? How many times are we popping pills? These, it boils down to the end, what is your consumption of healthcare? And if you limit it, then automatically things will get better. And it will make it way easier for providers and clinical people as well to actually make this sustainable. I'll come back to this slide a little later. The realization that I really want to bring to all of us here, see, we talk about smartwatches, we talk about wearables, but did you know that the human body has the best wearable yet, which is your heart? Heart is an absolutely amazing organ because it's a pump that never stops, right? A typical human being lives for 80 odd years, so you are talking about 3.5 billion beats. A lot of things can go wrong in all this time. But the fact remains that for a pump to operate at that capacity for that long a time means it will reflect what you are doing in your body at any point of time. And that's the fundamental truth that we have researched over the last 4 years. So you see that you can reduce the heart down to a variable, right? Based on balance, endurance, stability, aging, and traits. Super fundamental concepts, and all of us, it is a very common sense, right? But the heart embodies all of this, and we have figured out a way to track it. Now, once you look at how volatile your heart is, how inert it is sometimes, how much does it accumulate, which way is it progressing, which way is it regressing, if you look at all of these in toto, then you will start understanding why heart is the cornerstone of any sustainable effort, right? Don't look at it as an organ. Look at it as your permanent variable. And if you listen to it long enough, it will tell you whether you're sliding or whether you're improving. And the trick is to make sure that you know what to look for. So the biggest thing that we do, and I'm not mentioned everything here, but see, some of the questions that you want to answer, or all of that on the right side, is typically what we should be worried about. Am I okay? Which way am I going? What do I need to do better? And health is not in isolation, right? I have to compare myself to somebody. And unless and otherwise I do that, I don't know enough about my own health. And the heart is very capable of telling you all these things. The subclinical changes that I'm talking about essentially is the fact that before you get to a clinical manifestation of a disease, which track are you on? How far away are you from an incident? And what can you do about it right now? So any early warning score needs to be built on fundamentals like this. This is my last slide, but what I wanted to talk about is the fact that everybody speaks about personalization. We at Philips have taken a different view of this. We believe in universalization. If I give you a score or an item that represents every single person on the planet, and you're able to measure, and you're able to say what is progress and what isn't, and you're able to say what is the size of your footprint, then I've achieved my goal and intention to make everybody better, right? And while personalization is only an aspect of learning what you are, it is the ability to represent yourself as a standard is what makes change possible. So what we at Philips have done is we have figured out how to work with smartphone as a sensor. There are many of them around, but we have built a cardiac profile that is able to compute heart credits. And these heart credits essentially reflect what is the footprint of you as an individual. More the credits, it's just like carbon credits, you're going to struggle. Fewer the credits, you're going to do better. And obviously, Usain Bolt is probably at 0 or 1 right now. I don't know what that number is. And maybe Jonte is up there as well at the top. But the fact remains that sustainability comes from having the fewest number of credits. And this is a goal that all of us have to do. And what we decided as Philips is we'll work with the entire ecosystem of stakeholders to make sure that you know what that number is, right? And that you can keep track of this. So providers can work with you to lower those credits. You can be rewarded based on the credits that you have. You can progress based on the credits that you manage. And that's the system that we have built. We launched this a year ago. And so we've been successful. We are working with companies. Because I can see a future where I say if I have to live in Bangalore versus Delhi, then I'll go where the fewest credits are being used at any point of time. And that's true for companies as well. That's true for organizations or districts or states. So the plan that Philips has is essentially to make sure that we create data points which are visible to all, transparent to all, and create a brand out of your health so that you can maintain it consistently, and over a long period of time we remain extremely healthy. Right? Thanks a lot.